Well, it's very nice to see all of you today on this beautiful Saturday in September. Everything changing out there, and maybe there's change here as well, for the better. My name is Bonnie Thomas. I'm, I guess, a board member of the Switsmouth Cultural Society, and I'm the youngest daughter of Dr. Mary Thomas, the late Dr. Mary Thomas. And even though she's on her spiritual journey, a lot of, I believe her spirit is here today. And I think all of you have a copy of what we hope to present to you today, and in a timely manner. So to get us started, I'd like to ask Juanita Austin to come up, please, and offer her welcome. Thank you, Juanita.
Well, good morning, everyone. As Bonnie mentioned, my name is Juanita Austin, and I am in ministry here at First United Church. So on behalf of the congregation of First United Church, it is my honor to welcome you here today. As I welcome you here to this place of worship and wondering, a place where we seek the truth and we seek community, I acknowledge that we gather on the traditional Secwepemc lands. This past week, I read an essay by David Wilson, who is the editor of our national church magazine. He wrote about being an 11-year-old boy in 1966 when he and some friends discovered a cache of artifacts from a centuries-old Aboriginal encampment near Barrie, Ontario. He writes, "I'm pretty sure that had we found remnants of a musket, a sword, or a missionary's cross, we would have been local celebrities, and a historical marker would stand at the site today instead of a storage mart. I've concluded that our collective silence about the artifacts was rooted in a fundamental indifference towards the people who created them. We were taught indifference in school." And then citing his school textbook, he says, "It was full of stories of conquistadors, explorers, fur traders, missionaries, and early settlers, and barely a suggestion that the indigenous people they encountered had a rich history that predated contact with the Europeans by hundreds of years." He goes on, "You can draw a direct line from the devaluing of a people's history to the devaluing of the people themselves." Well, we are here today to say that the history of and by the time I'm done, I will learn how to say the word. Secwepemc people matters. Your present and your presence here matters. And it is our hope and prayer that this day will help build a bridge between Aboriginal and non-Aboriginal cultures where understanding, cooperation, and caring for one another will be the way into a very near future. Will you pray with me? Blessed Creator, we offer prayers of gratitude for the willingness of so many to gather and listen and learn from one another today. We give thanks for the work and vision that has gone into this day, a vision that touches the longings of widening circles of your children. Bless the visionaries, the planners and organizers, the speakers, the dancers, the cooks, the participants. We pray that your Spirit stir in us a sense of wonder, curiosity, and community as we listen and share with one another. May the healing quality of humor, shared values, and deep listening bless us and lead us into respectful and life-giving relationships. In Jesus' name, amen.
As part of our tradition, and to honor both sides of spirituality, we have also asked my Aunt Ethel from the Splatine community to come and give an opening prayer as well. So Ethel is an elder of Splatine in Enderby who does encourage and promote traditional practice as often and as much as she can, and we're really honored to have her here with us today. So Ethel.
And have to stand on this little stool, otherwise you wouldn't see me. Even then I'm on my tippy toes. I think when you start getting old, you start to shrink, so I think I lost about an inch or two. So, but you know, that's who we are, you know, and I'm really honored to be here. I'm always honored to be to help my community, to help my family, and I'm really, really blessed to have my family here in Salmon Arm. So whenever they ask me to come, you know, I try to make it because, you know, they are special, and to carry on, you know, their mother's legacy. You know, it's really, really good to see because she was also one of my teachers. You know, I used to call her Auntie Mary. I usually say the prayer in the language, and I must say that I am not fluent in the language, but I think it's through prayer that it's starting to come back. For a long time, I didn't want to be who I am. Like, I didn't want to be a native because I was ashamed who I was, but now, you know, that I'm back. I moved back in 1982, back to Canada, and I started working with my people, started learning, and I think, you know, my family here in Salmon Arm, Auntie Mary, really taught me a lot. She was the one that I used to really listen to when she prayed. I would listen. And then when I would say the prayer, you know, I would say this, try to say the same words. So with that, you know, I would like to say it in the language in Swapmuktiin. Oudgal kukbi kuksta kukbi in so auxnalia, Lucas hoy to sweat. Kukstaku hoy to stems kukdaku in alia loklo. Oudgal kukbi matiwaku hoy to sweat in alia slats so auxes lats. Israch nemas to stab me suma axida. Oudgal kukbi my yuchmin hoy to sweat in alia hook usmus of a day to cook apples of a mopus. Oudgal kukbi yuchmin that becomida. Aktiwa ko hoy to cook be a lot to am able Nesopop Muolo, Oudgal kukbi magno cook. It's your madwa who stick up me as you mean das to mammal, stit of hoy to Salmon alia. Oudgal kukbi cook stack go. all my relations. Oh, I just wanted to, the other thing that I wanted to say too, you know, when you travel, please be careful. You know, I always say a prayer for everybody that travels, no matter how far you go, you pray. And my daughter was coming from Vancouver and she hit a coyote. And every time they travel, you know, I pray for everybody. Pray for my children, you know, when they're on the road. I pray for, if I know that somebody is traveling, I pray and I talk to the animal, you know, to please stay out of my way. I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to hit them. And I think that's, you know, some of our beliefs as a nation. We talk to the animals because I think that's really important. So talk to the animals, pray before you get in your vehicles. Cook Sam.
I just received word a few minutes ago that Chief Judy Wilson is en route and will be arriving shortly. So if I could ask Mayor Cooper to please come and share some great wisdom with us. Thank you for coming. Do you need the stool?
Well, let's see. Oh, hey, it is better. I think I'm shrinking as well. You know, it's an honor to be here. And City Hall is just across the street. But in some ways, it's a long journey from there to here today. So I'm really, really honored to be here and to be able to talk and speak to you for a few minutes this morning. So I bring greetings from the City of Salmon Arm and from City Council. I usually try and introduce any councillors that are in attendance wherever I am, but I don't see any today. So I want to thank the organizers for putting this all together, and I know it was a lot of work, and I really appreciate what you've done. So thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I was supposed to be away, but turned out I was actually supposed to be here. So, you know, as we come from different areas in this, or different parts of this area, we have to recognize that while it may be different areas or different jurisdictions, we are all one people. We're all part of this community. We're one community, and we're neighbors. And so I'm really happy when there are events such as this that help us to get to know each other better. And I'm really looking forward to this day and the chance to meet you all again for the first time. Thank you. Thank you.
I see Chief Wilson is not here, so I think we'll carry on with the agenda, and we'll graciously step aside once Chief Wilson arrives. So I'd like to call upon Dorothy Argent, who is my mother's longtime friend, and I think she's basically been with the society ever since its inception. And she's definitely a part of our family as well, and so I'd like to call on Dorothy to begin the overview of the history of the Switsmouth Cultural Society.
No, I don't need it. Bonnie and I are going to be a bit of a tag team today in terms of introducing people and kind of sharing the MC, and right now we're going to be doing a joint little talk, and I'm just going to do a really short clip on the the historical history of the involvement that we've had with the Delta restoration and the watershed with the Nisconluth community. So, oh, my slide's up there. So, as we look to the future, it's good to pause for a moment and remember the history of our collaboration to restore the Salmon River Delta. Began with the Nisconluth community in 1991. I was a counselor within the district of Salmon Arm, and I was chair of the Environmental Management Committee, and I got a call from Mary Thomas, who was very concerned about the deterioration of the Salmon River Delta and wanted to know if I would work with her community to see what could be done. Louis Thomas, her son, was a counselor with the Nisconluth Indian Band, and she connected us so we could begin to work together. Out of this collaboration, the Salmon River Watershed Roundtable was born. And Louis and Mary worked hard at that time to involve all the First Nations bands within the watershed, which included the Nisconluth, the Splatson, the Okanagan, and the Adams Lake. And a subcommittee of First Nations members was formed to help assess the state of the river. The mission statement emerged from this collaboration: to be a catalyst to achieve and maintain a healthy Salmon River watershed through coordinated management of all resources, respect for all concerns, and cooperative positive action. Since 1991, the Nisconluth and other First Nation bands provided significant support to the Roundtable. They volunteered countless hours, provided free office space in the reserve, and hosted many restoration activities and events. The Nisconluth fisheries crew did the initial survey on the river. This was a small office building which the Nisconluth band allowed the Roundtable to utilize to give them a base to organize their activities. It's a really old picture. I'm not sure how well it's showing up, but Tyson, you'd remember that. He was coordinator then. And that would be back somewhere, that picture in the early, mid-1990s. We also sponsored a number of youth programs at that time, and they did helped us with a lot of restoration work. We have had a long-term problem with the ability of the salmon to enter the river and during the fall due to siltation and sometimes low water levels. And this group worked really hard one year to create a channel so that the fish could enter the river. Mary was a wise woman. One of her quotes that she often said is, "People only look after what they know about." And she was tireless in her efforts to educate others about her culture and her love and understanding of Mother Earth. She knew we all needed to be citizens of our own backyard, and that it would take collaboration between all interested parties to make a difference. Mary worked really closely over that time. We were talking, 21, 22 years, Nancy, with Dr. Nancy Turner. And at that time, they recorded over 74 indigenous plants at the Salmon River Delta. She also worked hard to reintroduce many traditional plants that had disappeared at the Delta, supported by her daughter, Lorna. One of these was the Wapato, or Indian potato, and Dr. Nancy Turner is going to be sharing about this work. And she's got an amazing slide presentation. Here's a picture of Mary and Louis Thomas receiving a donation from Community Futures many years ago. And there's another picture there of Jerry and Tammy Thomas at the Roots and Blues Festival, another longtime supporter. Mary actually partnered the very first restoration project at the Delta with Ducks Unlimited at the River Channel, and she welcomed any organization that would work with her to restore the Delta and the watershed. It was also her vision that created and started the Switsmouth Cultural Society, Canoe en Trois, which means helping one another in Shuswap. She donated 26 acres of land at the Delta that now houses the traditional village site. And she, Louis, and her son Jerry worked hard to maintain an old traditional trail along the river used by their community for hundreds of years, which they have opened to the public It's another significant partner in helping with the trails has been the Shuswap Trail Alliance. So today, approximately 65% of the Salmon River watershed that can be restored has been completed. I think that's just amazing, and I don't think there's another watershed in BC that can tout that. This is a collage of pictures taken over many years of partnerships. The missing piece that is now is the work that still needs to happen in the Salmon River Delta. And Bonnie's now going to share about that partnership that's been created to develop a 5-year plan to accomplish it. This plan is unique as it's incorporating traditional knowledge and wisdom and contemporary science. An amazing collaborative effort that I think one day it's going to be an educational center that will host many visitors and that we can be proud of the example that we put forward. So now it's my pleasure to introduce you to Bonnie Thomas, again, Mary's youngest daughter, who's going to share about the current restoration initiative. And Bonnie has been tireless in her commitment over the last few years in continuing to carry the vision forward, really working hard at that. Bonnie has got a lot of skills, exceptional leadership and organizational skills. For some that may not be aware, she's held elected office as a band administrator as well. And she worked at Okanagan College to implement the Aboriginal career management sector a number of years ago. So she's an amazing lady, and I will welcome Bonnie.
Gotta get my stool in mind. I can just imagine my mother. We are about the same height. She'd have to do this too. Okay. Thank you again for coming today. And I just wanted to first share information this morning about specifically the Delta Restoration and the initiative that we took forward in regards to restoring traditional plants. And for many years, my mother was asking me to move home. Come home, babe. There's so much work to do. And when I finally did come home in 2007, can I get this slide, first slide, please? Okay. So I came home in 2007. And before that, I lived in Chase, not very far away, for just over 30 years. So I was always close to home, and I was always able to visit her. And when I did come home, or I was preparing to come home, I spoke to her many times about where do we start, geez. And she never gave me anything specific, except that you find a common place and they will come. And when I came home, that was the biggest challenge. And I thought, well, geez, you know, everybody's concerned about the environment, and you know, that might be a place to start, or there's just, she had such a vast amount of knowledge. And so we started with the ecocultural tourism, and that led us to the development of a Ready BC project. And that was not easy, as Phil McIntyre-Paul can attest to. I remember Phil coming to me probably about 3 or 4 times and literally chasing me down at the Roots and Blues and other places, saying, Bonnie, this project it's a really good fit for you guys, and I know you'll do really well on it. And so lo and behold, in a very short period of time, and with the wisdom and the writing skills of our very own Dorothy Argent and many others, we put together the Mary Thomas Cultural Center and Heritage Sanctuary project. And so with the work and commitment that Phil had to our vision and my mother's vision, along with Louie's tireless work that he sort of does on the undercurrents. It did spark the interest in this project. Next slide, please. In starting this project, we thought, well, we're gonna hit up 3 main areas, and that was the ecocultural tourism, the delta restoration, and the traditional plants. And we had expected, we thought maybe 9, you know, and oh, well, you know what, if we're really ambitious, we'll get 14. And we've ended up with this many. I believe it's almost 40. And they're all, majority of them are community organizations. And there's some that are outside of the community, but the amazing thing was they are partners from every facet that you can imagine. From the political field to First Nations, special interest groups, religious groups, you name it, they've come together. And that answered the question of, you find a common place and they'll come. They sure have come. Next slide, please. One of the questions that my mother always said that she was asked constantly was, from anybody, was how are we connected to the land? And how do we utilize the knowledge that she shared with us and with everyone? And what was the outlet to do that? And how do we present that in a fashion that every walk of life could understand? And Nancy does an amazing job of answering those questions. So I'll leave that to her. She's special at that. These are pictures of the Delta Restoration Project. My brother Jerry headed up that project, and he had an amazing crew. They re-fenced, I can't remember the number of meters, but they did it in midwinter. It was freezing cold, and yet they got it up, and according to DFO and the environmental farm plan people, it was the best fence they've seen in a long time. And that was to keep the cattle out of the prime delta areas where plants would grow. So, and then we had a group of about 42 students from Salmon Arm West come out and do some planting of willows and that as well. So the young people are participating with us as well. So they planted almost 6,000 willows and cottonwoods back out in the delta, and unfortunately about only 50% of them made it, but you know what? The other 50% are thriving. And Nancy can attest to that too. We took a walk out there for a couple days. So what's next? Well, we want to carry on with, excuse me, with the traditional greenhousing and the Delta Restoration Project. We feel that we have just barely touched the surface of the vast amount of work that needs to be done. And that doesn't mean just the work on the land, but the education process, such as hosting events like this as well, to educate the people on why is it important that we take care of what's there, and all living things, not just human neighbors, but our animal neighbors as well, and our plant neighbors. So we're carrying that on, and you'll also see we have presentations for our speakers. My sister, adopted sister Val, who's carrying on some of my mother's work in medicines, has made some mosquito repellent out of the cottonwood for us, for some of our speakers. So thank you, Val, for that too. So we're carrying on with the restoration projects and education projects. Next slide, please. Is that the last one? Okay, I'm thinking of the other presentation. So I think I'm done for that. And I will be speaking later on the larger picture in regards to ecotourism and all of the vast amount of knowledge and work that needs to be carried on from that perspective as well. And giving you more information about how it is that we can come together, like what can we do as community members to support one another. And that is one of the very key questions that I receive all the time. And we're hoping to answer that question today. So thank you very much. I guess, should we wait? Sorry about that. Chief Wilson is not here yet, so the next part of the program we'll move into is Dr. Nancy Turner's amazing presentation. Nancy holds a vast amount of titles, and one of them was the Order of Canada, and which was, I congratulate you on that, Nancy, and so many more other very prestigious awards, but I think Nancy is very much like my mother was, in that titles did not mean anything to her. The acknowledgement and respect of the work that she put forward and the understanding that she received from people that come to hear her speak was a gift for her. And Nancy is very humble in that she honors and respects and thanks for those prestigious awards. But I believe, especially seeing her over the last 2 days that we went and walked in the Delta, her greatest gift is being out on the land and surrounded by people that have and share the same passion as she does. And one of my mentors, Jim Nemi, said that all you have to do when you're looking for work is find a passion and take it and go with it and find a way to fit it into community. And Nancy has done that wonderfully. She has taken her passion and shared it at every level, and she's identified the commonalities between every culture. She has learned languages beyond English language. I mean, we were out there on the Delta, and she'd identify a plant and she'd say the English name, the scientific name, the Secwepemc name, and another First Nations language, and I'm like, wow. You know, it's to me, she's a sponge, and that's what my mother said too, was she was so blessed to have Nancy come in her life, as well as the many students that Nancy brought there. I recall one time she phoned me just after Nancy had left, and she was all excited, and she said, "Babe, guess what? Nancy brought me students." And it was so cute. My mother just loved it when people, especially young people, would come to her and say, "I want to learn." And Nancy gave her that gift. And those students are carrying it on as well, especially Anne Garibaldi being one of them, and Nancy being their mentor. And I'm so proud and so happy to have Nancy here and to be able to introduce you, Nancy. And so please, everyone, welcome my sister, Nancy Turner.
An amazing introduction, Bonnie, and thank you. Other people might think about my passion as just an obsession, but you very kindly framed it in that way. And it's true that I really, I feel so blessed because I get to live out what I really love to do, and that's working with people and working with plants, and put the two together. It's been really my life's work, and just been endlessly fascinating for me, and has given me opportunities to meet the most wonderful people in the world. So thank you so much, Bonnie. And also, I just wanted to mention that when Chief Wilson does come, I will stop and give her the floor because I know that it's important to be welcomed by her. So you can just give me the heads up and I will do that. Let's see. If I just press, that's a recorder. I don't want to do that. How do, here's a gadget. I'm not very, Nancy,
I will control the...
oh, thank you. You can see my passion doesn't go to technology at all. My husband laughs at me and my kids because I can't even turn on the television set.
You know what that is, so that's enough.
Okay, well, we'll carry on then. Thank you. Next. First of all, I want to give my respects to the Nisconlith Nation and the other First Nations of this area from the Secwepemc Nation, and just remind us that their ancestors have lived here for literally thousands of years, have cared for this place, have grown to love this place and passed on their knowledge through the generations. And I think it's really important to me. It's wonderful to be out there on the Delta and think about that. Think about your great, 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 great grandmother down there on the Delta, just doing the same kinds of things that your mom was taught. Next. And I also am very grateful to the United Church and all of you who've worked so hard to bring this event to such a wonderful conclusion. And the Switsmouth Cultural Society, of course, Bonnie and Dorothy and Tammy and all of the folks who've worked so hard for so many years. And all of the other partners in this event and in the work that's being done. And of course, there's so many people to thank. I'm very privileged to hold a research chair that's funded by the Tula Foundation that enables me to come to events like this and to travel and do my research and writing through the University of Victoria. And of course, all those folks that are named were with us on our wonderful day out in the Delta. And finally, I want to dedicate this talk to my dear friend, the late Dr. Mary Thomas, because she was, as everyone has said so far, just an amazing teacher, a mentor, a role model, just a loving, wonderful, knowledgeable woman who will always be a part of my life. I tell Bonnie, she's still with me all the time. I can see her face, I can hear her laughing. She had a wonderful sense of humor. So today I just want to give you a little bit of a background about the field that I'm in called ethnoecology, and a concept that we've called kincentricity, and then tell you a little story, and then talk a little bit more about the Delta and about the importance of biocultural diversity, and then a few final thoughts. Can anyone tell me what that berry was, by the way? Yes, good. Good for you. I'm proud of you. Okay. So the Secwepemc territory is actually the largest of the First Nations territories in British Columbia. It covers a huge area from Soda Creek and near Williams Lake right over to the way people would have traveled in the old days to east of the Rocky Mountains, south into the Columbia drainage and north into the Yellowhead. So it's a vast area, and you can see the area where Salmon Arm is situated. So that's just put into context. So the study of ethnoecology, we can essentially say it's a study of a home place, the study of the people and their relationship with their home places. And it's the study of people's knowledge, how they live, how they survive, and how they maintain and sustain their own habitat, I guess. So the questions are, how can we live sustainably within our environment? What are the models that we can follow? And how can we maintain and enhance our relationships with the species that we share the planet with? So this kind of knowledge system that people have had that helped them to survive on their land, it is known as traditional ecological knowledge and wisdom. And I'm going to stop there, and so that Chief Wilson can come up and say a few words.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And I'd like to invite Chief Judy Wilson, and I know that she's very busy. She has another event that's going on in our own community as well, so she's really stretching herself thin. And I know you're very busy, Judy, but we really appreciate that you're coming here. You've been a very huge part in supporting all of the work that has gone on here, and that is, we really need that in our community. And Judy has been there for us tirelessly, even though she does have a very busy schedule. And so I really want to extend my appreciation to you, Judy, for all that you do, and ask you to come and do your welcoming. Thank you.
It's been a while. Yeah. Okay, I think I'm just gonna do this. Okay. I don't trust myself on there, probably start moving and fall backwards. Waikakoita, Presquest, Cookby Judy Wilson, Skachin, Sconnet. I'm very honored to be here today. Whenever we're talking about the land and the water and our Koselt and our relatives on the land, it's really important to me to be there. We were honoring our young hunters the other day. They were 10 years old, 10 and 11, and they were up in the mountain, and they were doing some of them had their first kills, so it was really important to do the ceremonies. And that's how our people are connected to the land, through the spirit and connection, but also through caring for our animals and caring for all our relatives on the land. So the young hunters, the stories they shared with us were really incredible. And, because they have to learn about the animal, they have to learn about the habitat, they have to learn how to care for that animal spiritually, and laying tobacco down on the land before they hunt. And I was thinking about that when they were sharing their stories with us, and they were kind of shy about it, and some of it was kind of comical too, how they, in their 10-year-old mind, how they were doing this. But I was thinking, why can't we see our land through their eyes? Why can't we see how we need to care the way we do for the water? And that's what this today is really important, what Dr. Nancy Turner has to share, and what Bonnie and Dorothy have been doing, and Warren, and many of you that come out to support that work. Because one thing, we're at the other part is, and there's so many meetings I go to in a week, but we're at Doctrine and Discovery as well yesterday, and we had international speakers from all around the world come out, and they were saying the same thing. We only have one earth, we only have one water that comes to the earth, and we have one humankind. And we're all related, and we all have to take care of the earth in this way. And I really believe late Dr. Mary Thomas, that was her universal message, and that is still the key message today when we're here living together. And it's not just neighbors, I think it's really that we're all related, and I think that has to be underscored in where they were talking about the plants, the trees, and the water, but humankind as well. So I really appreciate Bonnie and Dorothy taking the lead in offering, these kind of sessions, because we do have to educate one another. We do have to learn about the climate, and we do have to learn what the crisis we're in really today with climate change. I was listening to the radio coming up today, and they were talking about, should it be a cap and trade system? Should it be a regulatory system? And thank God for the Green Party, the lady that was on the radio this morning. She said, you know what, we're not talking about the real issue. The real issue is climate change, and if we don't do anything about it, whether what system we go through won't matter, because there won't be an earth here, to manage, because it'll be all gone. And that's the crisis we're in, and I think it's time we wake up to that. And I really feel the Indigenous people, the original people, we do have a role in facilitating that, in caring for the water and for the land. And we can do that in a number of different ways, and I really enjoyed the tours that were out at the Salmon River Delta, and that's one of the last areas that haven't been developed out along the lake. And it's going to take all of us to be there, to be able to preserve that, be able to manage that, and be able to learn more about that, because there's so much more we're learning about ecosystems, as you'll learn in Dr. Nancy Turner's presentation. There's so much dependent on each other, and it's all connected. And, the Creator in His wisdom set it out that way. So, and it's funny, sometimes we're just always learning just a little bit more about that ecosystem. So welcome today, and thank you for Dr. Warren Bell, for facilitating all the work that he does tirelessly as well. I'm only one little speck in that web of life, and Mary's illustration again, it takes all of us again. Cook's Jam, thank you.